In last Sunday's discussion, we focused on one aspect of Divine Mother expressing as this universe, and that aspect was space. The multiplicity manifests as the distinct objects. The objects are seen as separate. There is a gap that is seen. The differentiation that is seen, that differentiation is what gives the idea of space. We had that feeling, we do feel that there is something like space independent of objects, but that is not the case. It is only the perception of objects that can give us a sense of space. And the other aspect that we are going to discuss today is that of time. And like space, we feel that we live in time. We do not really see that we generate time. Our perception also generates the sense of time. It is, as you can see, the one, when perceived through a prism, of that prism is what is a symbolic representation of appearance of many. Where there is one, the appearance of the many comes there. If you, for example, hold a prism, you can see one light appearing as many different colors, many different shades. We used to spend as children lot of time holding the prism, that prism, and then seeing how the colors come out. So this prism of nations or variety, the prism has three sides, and these three sides, they appear to us as time, space, and causation. And then we see this many, the universe is seen. There is one that is pervading in all these many. And that is why we always have that feel of oneness. It is very difficult to see just multiplicity. There has to be a connectedness to bring all these many on a platform. The awareness of one can really make us perceive even this multiplicity or manyness. And as we saw that this manyness gives rise to the idea of space, all these many things kept in the space. Something is here, something is there. Something is in Providence, in Vedanta Society, something is somewhere else, maybe at the mall. In Providence, something could be maybe in Newport, something could be in the state of New York, something could be, say, in Cambodia, something could be probably caught in that horrible storm that has killed about 10,000 people in Philippines, a sad event. It is there. We feel that it is not here. We say that how fortunate I am that I was not there at that time. I am here. The other aspect of this multiplicity is time. how this time gets generated by us. Our perception, friends, is that this dynamic multiplicity. The multiplicity is not static. The manyness that we see is not just one constant picture. It is a movie, continuously changing. And therefore, the picture that we perceive at one point, somehow that perception has changed. We feel the change, and that change is the creator of time. Think, friends, just think of this, that nothing is changing. Imagine. Even imagination is difficult. We are so accustomed to change. But just try to feel nothing changes. Can we then perceive time? We will not be able to perceive at all. Just take the example of a watch. Suppose nothing moves in the watch. Will you be able to know time by that watch? You will not be able to know what time now is, because the watch is moving. Things are changing there. You get a measure that you call time. Now just extend this concept that nothing is moving at all anywhere. Then time has disappeared. It is only because things change, we put those changes in our awareness in a particular manner that gives us this idea of time changing. Things change. What we perceive at one moment, even before that perception kind of settles in, it has changed. And so, what does it indicate? We are never sure here what it is. Before we decide that it is this something, there is a change. Everything is changing. It is in a kind of constant flux. That is how we are able, in a very feeble way, to describe it. It is, friends, a bit, philosophically rather tough topic, that how even we are able to think. It is our thinking also has this time thing there, that and so see, there was one sign on the computer a little while ago. It is gone. Time, you see. So that is how everything is changing. Without change, even the perception of space cannot be there. That is why we see that time and space, they are kind of amalgamated together. We may think that why we can see without any change. No, friends. If a picture is static, can we not see without a change? No, it is only because our that iris, the eyelids, they change. They take in the light, they open, they close, and that is why that creates an image, and that gets perceived. If that stops, even the seeing will get all stopped. There will be no perception of space either. So space and time get connected. There is a variety that in every respect there will be, in any two things there will be some difference. Either that difference will be in the form of color, in the form of placement, in the form of some quality. Just in our understanding, we can see two things means they are different, and they keep on changing. That change generates essence of time, you see. Everything kind of changes, moves on, and then this change creates what we call event. Like we have an event going on here. What does it mean? It is a change that is being perceived. Event means it was not there half an hour ago, and it is now, it is there. We ask also, at what time is that event going to take place? Somebody had called the other day, said that, yes, I know there is going to be an event. At what time? So event actually determines the time, not just that the event happens in a time, but the event determines the time. For example, in the clock now we see here, say 5:25. It is an event. The digits have changed and come to that position, that change, and that event that we are saying, this is 5:25 now, it is really an event. Change create the events. And then the events, they are not seen together by us. They are not seen all at once. If we see all events at once, time will not be there. Try to imagine. Even the imagination of such a thing will be an impossibility for human brain. Things get arranged. We perceive them in an order and in a direction. They are put according to some order. This happened first, this happened later, this happened later. So we get an order. Moreover, there is just as we see the distance in space, we see distance in events, and that makes us aware of time. Distance between two events that we perceive give us the idea that this was 1 hour ago. Somehow we put a measure on it. That yes, it is, we make a standard. For measurement we require a unit. And so we create a unit by event. And that when that event repeats, we call it 1 unit. The basic unit that of time that human beings had was sunrise and again sunrise. You see the sun rising, and then it repeated. Again the sun rose. So that time, that period, that distinction of this sun rising and again sun rising. If sun was just at the east horizon and just remained there, and it didn't move at all, imagine, there will be our basic unit of time, we would have been gone. So we see sun, and thus we have the idea of 1 day. And that is the first unit of time, 1 day. That, okay, the sun had risen, again sun has risen. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, we have been seeing it. So the counting like that goes on. Then for a finer counting of this, we divide it into 24. So call them an hour. In different, these things, people in different places, different communities, this basic unit is same, day. But the minor units have differed because this unit was natural, day. The other units were kind of created units. They were more or less, not exactly, but more or less arbitrary. Like you divide it in 24, call it an hour. Why not 25? It could be asked that why you thought of dividing it only in 24 and not in 25. We even do not ask this question. We rather put it, because we get so accustomed to it that we make it a concrete statement that a day consists of 24 hours. So as if hour is something primary, and that 24, counting 24 of them gives rise to what we call a day. It is really a reverse thing. So all these changes, how do we have a month? The original idea about a month, why did the month came up? We have year and month and a day, then we go into month. The idea of month came from the moon. You observe the moon, and then a moon completes one full cycle. You see full moon, and then another full moon. So that was the idea of month. Full moon and again full moon. And then it was seen that roughly it is about 29 and a half day. And we like whole numbers. So we said, let us have 30 days, make a month, a whole number like that. And to match it then with the actual, these things, we have then some months, 31 days, some 30 days, some 28 days, and like that. Then idea of year. Idea of year really varies for at different places. Natural idea of year varies at different places. Why so? Because the changes depends on the perception of change. In places like, say, northern hemisphere, far away from equator, we perceive different seasons, and they repeat again and again. And thus, that change, when we see it repeating again and again, last year we had, at one time we had this terrible cold, and then again it changed. It changed into different other seasons that we felt, and again there is that same cold again. So that gave rise to the idea of year. So then they found out the precise reason behind this. The day, the earth makes just a circle around itself. So that makes the day and night. So moving of the earth around itself is one unit. Moving of the earth around the sun, that is how they, you see, get the different seasons. That was done as 1 year. And then moon is circulating around earth. One circumambulation of moon around earth makes a kind of 1 month. So I am telling these different time units just to show how these events have generated a sense of time. Imagine none of this event is taking place. No time will be seen. In places near equator, therefore, the year is different because they don't get 6 seasons like we get. So natural year for them was counting the 12 lunar cycles, that 12 times the moon, because the moon that is seen, how the phases of the moon are changing. So they see that and thus calculate only on the basis of that. That is how we say for the Muslims who used to be originally there in Arabia, where you don't see all these 6 seasons. So only that to determine the time was this counting these months, lunar months. And by counting the lunar months, they get an idea of year. Therefore, Ramadan comes sometimes in winter, sometimes in summer, the holy month. It comes at different times according to our year, because the changes were perceived differently. So what I want to come to this is that the changes, they are perceived. Moreover, time has a very funny, different thing from space that has to be understood. And that is a very intriguing thing, friends. And that is direction. The space doesn't have that kind of a direction which cannot be reciprocated. You can go, say, 30 miles to east and again come back 30 miles back when you come from there to west. You can go east, west, here, there. The direction is not a problem. You can retrace your steps back in space. Can we do it in time? There have been lot of sci-fi about it, lot of fiction, time machine, because that is so fascinating an idea. Can I go back in time? Very fascinating idea. Our friend Raymond had given me a nice novel about, can we correct our past mistakes if I get to go back? Nice idea, because we feel sometimes prick of conscience that, hey, that time I didn't realize, and so I committed that mistake. Now I know if I can go back to that moment, can I correct it then? And we feel confident, since now I know I will not repeat it again. It was very beautifully shown there. No, you cannot correct it even if you know, because that moment is defined by that event. It is a very beautiful idea, friends, that the moment gets defined by the event. And so this is even a big problem for physics as to why the time is an arrow. Space is not an arrow. Why there is an arrow for time? Because somehow we have been putting the events only in a line and one after another in a direction. And thus it has that what is called thermodynamic basis to that. Therefore we see events occurring only in one direction, and so the time also is understood to flow only in one direction. Just to give you an idea what that is, that you see a house is getting built. We see that it is, you have to do efforts for that. Now, if you don't do anything to a building, gradually it will crumble down, it will get dilapidated and so forth, and you will see all the debris lying there. But the event cannot go back in the same way, that all those bricks and mortar and wood, all that coming together again, fitting into itself in such a way that out of it the building gets created on its own. You cannot have it like that. Events are seen to go only in one direction and not in the other direction. And so therefore the time goes in one direction. We can see that a child is born from the womb of the mother and then goes on growing, starts getting older, starts maybe walking, tottering with a stick and so forth, and then grows old and then gets buried into the grave. Can we go back the event, change it like that, that from the grave the fellow would come up, with maybe tottering on a stake, and then starts going younger and younger, becomes a baby and enters into the womb of the mother? It is unthinkable. And so the time that we see goes only in one direction. So this is how we keep on perceiving the events. And then we put lines there. Past, present, future. And we put the two lines that because that is how the memory works, that whatever has been we feel as experienced, that is, a line is put. So past, it is, we don't realize that it is actually arbitrary. There is nothing like actually past, actually present, or actually future? Since we are not able to see the whole fabric at a time, since we are not able to perceive the whole thing at a time, the perception is in a sequence, and that is how past, present, future, it is like that for us. Just to illustrate this point, let me give you an example, say, of a movie, maybe a big suspense movie that you are seeing. So in that suspense movie, say you saw it for 15 minutes, so whatever happened in 15 minutes that you know, and you are looking, you are seeing now what is happening, and then you are looking with great expectation. Your mind is already working fast and thinking that this must be the thing, that fellow must be the murderer, and so forth. You are actually doing all this. So that is for you is in future. So we draw these lines. But for the one who has written the screenplay, it is already present, you see. There is no past, present, future for that person as far as that movie goes. It is, the screenplay writer knows all that as one movie, one thing. There is no past, present for that person. Okay, well, it is past, present, or future for him as to how much money he can make out of it, how much money he has made, how much he will be making. That is, but then as far as that within the movie the things go, all is present. Nothing past or future for that person. Here, we feel these past, present, future, and think that they are kind of, objective things. Something is past means something is past, gone. It is matter of perception, how you start perceiving it. If you start perceiving it from some other end, then it will be a different thing. It will be what was past for somebody could be present for somebody else and future for somebody else. It is not that they are an objective givens. As is your perception, for you something is past, something is present, something is future. These lines are drawn in the program. That makes us perceive events. That program has these lines, and thus we see that they are perceived just as space is perceived telescopically. Past also is perceived. We think of history always in a telescopic manner. I was watching, you see, that at Nashville, they have in a park, there are all that Nashville, Tennessee, the Time Park, So all different big boards are there. Boards means cement, concrete. Pillars are there showing the history of human civilization. So it started something like 3 million years. So 3 million years to say 1 million year covered in one pillar only. Nothing, because it is so far back, who knows? It is all together. So that 2 million years were covered with just one pillar. Then 100,000, this thousand, how different parts of earth became habitable, how different species came up. The period started getting shorter and shorter till then you see a pillar for every 10 years. What this happened? Because that is how the telescope goes. Here we feel this distance, distance between Hank and Paul. I can see that they are separate. But we see the moon and the sun or a star kind of on the same plane. And we don't see that they are really so far apart. So that is how we draw the lines and see this, have the sense of time, past, present, future. It is also a matter of just programming of the brain. It is, see, this now is what we actually are perceiving. But the lines that make the distinctions, you see, these lines that what is now becomes past, then now, and then the future, what we have not perceived, that which has not become part of the memory, that is just manipulated thought as if we will be getting it sometimes. So we therefore say we don't know what is in the womb of future. But there is constantly an attempt, friends. People are so much interested in knowing the future. We keep on looking for, hey, what is, if some astrologer or some those palm readers, friends, they make good business, that if they get a good reputation, people go to them. Even the so-called scientific-minded people also, when they are not doing their science, they go and show the palm, that what is there on my palm. It is. Maybe that fellow will be able to tell, who knows. So, it is. Why so? There is, the reason is, even the future is a matter not of just guesswork, but something that already has happened. We just do not know it, that's all. But something that is all happened. It is one fabric. We are holding at one end, and we imagine the other end will be like this. So our consciousness is holding one end of that fabric and feel that the other end would be something like this or like that. It is a matter of pattern, and therefore we have this idea of this perception like this, that, and what we were meditating, earlier, that where from these bubbles are coming. All these bubbles are coming from that source, that power, what was shown in the first slide, the time, space, and causation. That is the matrix called Divine Mother, inseparable from the truth. It is from here the space and time, this universe arises. And so, without any change, these things happen. Like when we see from that prism, that very light appears as so many different lights. It is a variety, and that obscures, in a way, the unity. That unity, that oneness is our goal. You all must be knowing that song from The Wizard of Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow. That girl sings that, where my dreams can come true. Somewhere over the rainbow. What the rainbow is symbolically telling us is variety. That variety, this world is full of variety, but our dreams will come true only where we will be able to transcend that variety and see that one, which was in a way, the source and not the source of this variety. It is, the variety is not real. It is a manifestation. It changes. It keeps on fluctuating, and therefore that variety is just what is it? It is a Divine Mother. In one of the Bengali songs, the Divine Mother is therefore described as Kala Rupa, that it is of the form of time. The mother's form is, Divine Mother's form is that of time. All these things are happening in Divine Mother. That is the source. And so we have to get back to the source. Instead of looking at just these manifestations and getting caught in them, let us see how we can transcend this plane of illusory manifestations and get to that one where this is all actually sourced. And then this puzzle about time and space will resolve itself. When you go to the source, then you find the solution. Otherwise, there is always doubt. We keep on surmising how it will be, how it will not be. Another meaning of time in Sanskrit language, the word kala, it has another beautiful connotation. It means death. It means it swallows everything. You see, everything gets swallowed in the womb of time. That howsoever sometime we keep on feeling that I am so important, this world cannot run without me. See, look at all the great works I have done. But time swallows. As that saying goes, that the graveyards are full of those. Graveyards are full of those who thought that they were indispensable for the world. So they go, the time swallows everything. And so what it means is that it is happened at one level. We have not perceived, that's all. But this is all going into the womb of time. So, mother is swallowing everything. Sri Ramakrishna once saw a vision of Divine Mother. Beautiful vision. Many do not like to look at that vision, but that is the truth. That he saw a very beautiful woman. That people, of course, don't mind thinking about. It is, he saw a very beautiful looking, nice woman. And then, as that perception immediately gave rise to another vision, that woman then gave birth to a very cute, nice baby. The baby came out from her. And then, third picture, she started nursing the baby. And the baby was becoming bigger. That beautiful woman was nursing the baby. And then we don't want to think of that, but Sri Ramakrishna saw that. And that is reality. She swallowed that baby and went away. She put that baby in her mouth and then gone. So that is the things go away. They come, they are, and then they go away. And so Swami Vivekananda used to say that the one who has courage to really feel this transitory, evanescent nature of this world, those who are ready to, feel this, those who are ready to bite this bullet of truth, they alone are capable of having the vision of Divine Mother. Those who want to think only of the pleasant, well, they are not thinking completely. They are thinking only of something very partial, and therefore they are not still ready for that perception of the divine. So we should see, we should have the courage. The practice of religion is really for courageous, not for those who are scared to know the truth. They don't want to look at the truth, but does it mean that they can escape the truth? Nobody can escape the truth. It is the truth will catch up with you even if you don't want to look at it. It is like the rabbit being pursued by a fox. Now the fox is much faster. Rabbit thinks now sees that it has no way to escape. So what the rabbit does, puts its head in the sand so that it is not able to see the chasing fox. But can the fox not see it? The fox is going to see it. In fact, the job of the fox has become much easier. So, just because we do not see the truth, does it mean that the truth will not affect us? Yes, friends, truth is going to be truth. And so, therefore, it is important that we see that the fact that things come, things stay, and things again vanish. The reality never goes away. The reality, the Divine Mother or our true self, that divine never goes away. There is no time and space there. That is the oneness where nothing changes. There is no here and there. In that where one, there is no here and there. There is no now and then. And so it is described that when one goes to that state of samadhi, where this ignorance disappears, what happens? The only present tense remains, no past or future. The time is now only a continuous present. We see this even in the relative sense. Where our concentration increases, we'll start losing the sight of that sense of time. The children, if they don't want to study in the class, they sit and then the time kind of doesn't pass. Let them be on a football field. Then you see 6 hours, 7 hours, they just pass away. Because whatever catches the concentration makes the time sense go away. So think, when we concentrate on the truth completely, what will happen? The time stops. So one of the great poets, he has described as a Bengali poet, his name Girish Chandra Ghosh, describes this state in that beautiful song about Samadhi, that Kala Baddha Vartamane, that the time is arrested in now, an eternal, ever-present now. Thank you, friends. There is one more aspect of the Divine Mother that we have not discussed. We discussed space, we discussed time. Today, I have to use the words today, tomorrow and all that, past, present. But another aspect, causation, which create the idea of I and mine, something I call mine. Why I don't? There is no reason really to call something as mine and something not mine. That is another aspect by which we get bound and the ignorance functions in our life. That is this idea of causation. So, not next Sunday, next Sunday we'll take, a break for this topic. Next Sunday another topic is going to be discussed. So, but the Sunday after that, we will take up this idea, I and mine, how I and the ignorance functions as I and mine. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that I and mine is ignorance. Lord, thou and thine is knowledge. Lord, everything is yours. That is knowledge. So, we will try to discuss it on a Sunday after the next Sunday.